Let me start out by saying that if you watched this morning's video, yes, I was a little bit confused about my fairy tale characters. Yes, I meant Goldilocks. Although, let's face it, I mean, Cinderella had a perfect ending also. But in this case, we weren't looking for a perfect ending. We were looking for the beginning of a next phase. And we are getting it. We've had amazing news all week. How come the market isn't getting that? Anyway, I'm going to list all the amazing news, both for the economy and for Tesla. And then maybe next week, the market will figure it out and take advantage of all this great news. This is Randy Kirk. Hit like, hit subscribe, hit notify. I've got Larry Goldberg tomorrow morning. We're going to be talking about the Cathie Wood report. I've got, I'm not sure I've ever had as good a lineup as what I have coming for you in the next few days. So just hit notify so you can find out about that. Thank you so much to everybody who's joined Patreon. Lots and lots. I think I'm at 110, 111 now, another one today. So please, if you'd like a free book, that's one of the reasons to join. If you'd like to get new content that will never be on YouTube, that's possible. You can get a video that I've got planned for next Tuesday with Rene. You can get that now if you just go up there, and all you got to do is join for 7 days for free, take advantage of all the free stuff, and then decide, is it worth $5 a month? All right, let's get information below in the description. So let's start with the economic news. By the way, at the end, I'm going to talk about a couple of news things that happened today. All right, but let's talk about the whole week. Let's talk about the economic amazing news. First of all, you know what would be the number one for me by a lot? That's productivity in the second quarter was up big. We have 5 negative quarters in a row, then a huge 3% plus increase. Now, one quarter does not a year make, and who knows, next quarter, maybe the productivity numbers will be down. I don't think so. I think the productivity numbers are going to be strong going forward, and that is what's going to give us a strong economy. It's going to build wealth. It's going to reduce. It's going to crush inflation, in fact, and that is, to me, the biggest news of the week, and what I think you should look forward to expecting for the next 18, well, maybe even for a couple, 3 years, because of things like ChatGPT and other things that are just breaking, well, like things that Elon Musk is doing. Let's see, robo-taxis and Optimus and other things that are going to dramatically improve productivity. All right, number 2, the jobs report. The horrific shortage of labor might be easing. Nobody says it that way. Everybody that reports on this stuff has never made a payroll. Everybody who's reporting on this stuff is not talking to small business owners and medium-sized business owners that can't find competent labor. So the real answer of what's been going on this week is that might be easing. It might be getting easier for these folks to find some competent people to go to work for them. Now, it's true that what looks like is happening is it looks like there's hoarding going on, that there's individuals that companies rather that are keeping employees that maybe they would in another circumstance they might let go. But even that, I'm going to suggest, unless they're really horrible employees, they are being trained. They're getting better and better at their job. And guess what? That means they're adding to productivity, both in general, specifically with regard to their company, and in general, even if after they're let go, they will be more productive somewhere else. This is important stuff. This is so critical. I can't begin to tell you, but you won't hear this anywhere else because nobody else is running a business. All right. Number 3, the economy. There was a technical recession in 2022. We all know that. 2 quarters of downward GDP. It was very small downward amounts, and nobody felt it. Real recessions with consequences have been predicted by pretty much everyone but me. So everybody said, no, we got a recession coming this month and this quarter and that quarter. We still got one coming later this year and early next year, everything else. Well, I did write a book on the subject. I wrote a book on recessions. I've studied recessions so deep. In fact, you'd be shocked at some of the reasons for recessions that we've had over the last 9 recessions that are completely misreported, historically incorrectly reported. The real reasons for them were much more interesting even than what was reported. Anyway, we do not have a recession coming. There's none on the horizon. We still have, even after the downward number in the jobs required, people looking, the companies looking for employees, even though that came down again, it was still something like 9 million jobs that folks are looking for employees, and they've got like 1 million people that are out there looking for work. So no recession, none on the horizon, not going to be one in 2024, unless we have some crazy bad news, war, pestilence, those kind of things. All right, one report from the Fed from the Fed, this was from the Fed, has the GDP going up over 3% in the third quarter. I don't think that's going to be the real number when we get done, but auto is doing better than expected. It might continue to do better than expected, and is a big driver. The government is spending more money than expected, and that's a big driver. The industrials in the United States are onshoring because of the Biden administration, those 2 bills they passed. That has an effect. And now we're going to see companies that are going to start to be investing in automation and other methods of increasing productivity. That is a driver. Right now, we haven't had that for the last 3 years. We haven't had a lot of companies investing in automation. So those kinds of things are going to have an effect going forward and will help the economy to stay strong. In transport, it's a leading indicator. The good news last week was there's an uptick in the total amount of tonnage that's being moved. Some carriers, like Yellow Freight, aren't part of the good news, but the truth is this is a leading indicator, and what we're seeing right now is an uptick in this good news. Number 5 is inflation. Well, true-flation is showing us at just over 2%. And I just heard that the GDP deflator is at 2.2% also. Sounds to me like we're somewhere in the 2s now on a year-over-year basis and going down. It's a dramatic slope like this. I don't see any reason why it's going to turn around, except for the one I keep mentioning, which is oil. I think that is going to stabilize now at 82 or so. We'll see. Maybe not, but I think that'll be true. Housing, prices are up somewhat. Rents are stable. This is good. Builders are starting to build new homes. All 3 of those things came out this week. Prices are up somewhat. That's very, very good. But they may not stay up over the fall and winter in the off season. We'll have to see what happens with that. Next is banks. Banks weathered the storm and had a fine earnings season. And so now banks are off the table as far as something that we are going to be as worried about as we were. The earnings season, well, we had about 80% beat. Now, obviously, those beats were not at the same levels as you would have in a great economy, but they did beat. The normal level for a good economy is 80% beats. And their guidance was okay. It was not bad. Number 9, housing construction, kind of what I said a minute ago, but slightly different. Housing starts, permits, and construction all up. We also had number 10, multiple slightly dovish statements from Fed members. So at this point, almost nobody thinks the Fed is going to raise in September or November, a little higher percentage in December. And now there's a tremendous amount of thinking in terms of maybe reducing interest rates toward the end of the year, with inflation possibly being to 0 by the end of the year. I believe that. Cathie Wood believes that we will be at 0 by the end of the year. In fact, we may be close to 0 in some categories now, and even true-flation isn't picking it up yet. All right, number 1 in the Tesla world. Number 1, India meetings. Lots of India meetings and a lease of a large facility. This seems like we're on the verge of an imminent announcement. That is really super good news. I'm going to dig deep into this India issue. I'm going to come back to you on that. Number 2, Fremont activity to upgrade the factory in preparation for the new M Model 3. Clearly, lots of activity, a tent, permits being pulled, new equipment coming in and out. We're getting ready to go on that. Number 3, lots of rumors and actual facts pointing to the production of the M3 in Shanghai also very soon, including the fact that, they've pushed off deliveries of M3s, Model 3s in Europe until much later this year, even into 2024 on some of the models. Number 4, amazing reviews from Pepsi indicating that the semi-truck is hitting all the metrics. I haven't even had a chance to look at all of the information that was on that with regard. They did a 10-minute video about it and everything. So that's big, big news that the semi-truck, lots of things going on in the semi-truck. Elon posted a thing that he said, hey, it's been great working with Pepsi. And I'm assuming that hand in glove relationship with Pepsi is maybe why we've had a little slowdown. they have probably been learning a ton in this relationship that will go into the trucks and make them even better. But Pepsi was saying, scoring great on all metrics. Number 5 on the good Tesla news, proposal to create a 9 mega charger station between Texas and California. More evidence that the semi-truck is on the way. Plus, with that many chargers and that many chargers per station, we are talking about, the 50,000, the 100,000 numbers. Yeah, we're going way beyond that. Okay, number 6. This is kind of Tesla news, not Tesla news, kind of general news, but it also applies huge to Tesla. A potential break in room temperature superconductivity. ARC, Cathie Wood's company is now giving this a 50% chance of being real. There's the betting online is giving it a 60% chance of being real. That's based on the news that's popping all the time about this. Lots and lots of news coming out. There are hundreds or even thousands of labs trying to replicate what was in this report, what was in this paper. So the betting is going up. It's actually getting more positive. I have got Brian Wang on standby, ready to report any seriously important breakthroughs. We will break out, like, even if it's Sunday at noon, we'll have reporting if necessary with regard to this room temperature thing, because it's huge, just a huge thing. All right, a couple of other general pieces here. General Motors got all 3 car companies got major bad news with regard to what the unions are going to be asking for, but GM got slapped with a major downgrade today based on potential labor problems. As noted earlier, the union is asking for 20% immediately, as soon as they sign the deal, and then another 5% a year for 4 years. This is absolutely nuts when we're going into a period with 2% or less inflation. Well, some of the other labor contracts that have been gotten in some of the other industries that have just recently signed have had something like a 10 or a 15% immediate increase, and then some increases in the out years, but nothing like 40% over 4 years. This is a nutty thing. If they walk out, that is going to be very hard on General Motors. I guess General Motors is the strike, what do you call it, the focal point. They're the ones that negotiate first, and the strike would go against them as opposed to all 3. So they've been downgraded big time. That's the last thing they needed. As far as the market concerns, I'm going to pull up these charts real quick, if I can do this without taking up too much of your time. Here we go. And let me pull up this over here, right here. All right, so what we have here, we have the S&P. Take a look at what's happened with regard to the S&P so far in the last 12 months. Okay, now let's take a look at what's happened with Tesla over the last 12. How come that's not bigger? Okay, I thought these would all be the same size. Tesla over the last 12 months. And then we take a look at the NASDAQ over the last 12 months. What do you notice? Huge increases. All right, so the fact that we've had a blow off this last week in the face of amazingly good, in general, amazingly good news, the blow off, I think, is, sell on the news. It's time to take your profits. I think that's what's going on. Nobody knows. I guarantee you, you can look at all of the reports out there and nobody's going, well, here's why the stock market went down this week. Here's the specific reason. No, they're all saying something like, a breather, profit taking, and okay, if that's what everybody thinks in this one particular case, I guess I'm going to go along with them and think that maybe that is the case. So let's see. So again, I just want to encourage you to be part of the conversation this weekend and going into next week, because I've got all the main characters. But even though it's the regular guys that I have on my show all the time, the content that we have developed for you this weekend and going into Monday and Tuesday is beyond anything I think that we've ever done on the channel. And that doesn't even count if Brian comes on with a special report on the room temperature superconductors. So it's going to be crazy. So hit like, hit subscribe, hit notify, and then please join Patreon. Support the channel. It costs money to put this channel together. If you're getting $5 a month worth of value, would you join Patreon and help me to make this possible for you going forward, far into the future, and maybe make improvements? If there's enough income coming in, maybe I can afford a better camera, better lights. Some of you think that I need that. Actually, I just bought some new lights today. They'll come in tomorrow. We'll see if you like those lights better. This is Randy Kirk. It's been great talking to you.